On tonight's show, reporter Cameron Darcy gives us a sneak peek on what to expect when returning back to on-ground classes next semester. We have details on the CDC's new mask guidelines, with information on where those vaccinated don't need face coverings. A familiar face returns to Eastern's athletic department, as well as fans finally being able to attend sporting events in person. This and more tonight on the April 29th edition of ETV News. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lexi Nimitz. Just over a year ago, students and faculty were sent home for spring break. Since then, universities around the globe have restricted on-ground classes and student activities to help combat the COVID-19 pandemic. However, regular campus life is planned to return here at Eastern this upcoming fall. Reporter Cameron Darcy has more on the story.
The COVID-19 pandemic has drastically changed campus life this year, forcing the implementation of online classes and many virtual events on campus. With the rollout of the vaccine, things seem to be getting back to normal here at Eastern. 3 weeks ago, President Nunez sent an email to all current students announcing that Eastern would be back to a regular semester for the fall of 2021. Last April, students and staff were kept home due to the COVID-19 pandemic that affected billions around the world. Since then, several changes have been made to stop the spread of the virus. On college campuses, this meant having primarily online or limited classrooms, suspension of school events, clubs, and athletics, and mask mandates in public places. Now, with cases slowly declining and the vaccine being available to those 18 and older in Connecticut, as well as being one of the most residential campuses in the state this past year, Eastern feels confident that the 2021-22 academic year can return to a new normal. I spoke to Assistant Director of Student Activities Josh Sumrell on how the school is determining ways to provide students a safe on-campus experience.
I think this summer is probably going to be a very brainstorming type summer to determine what we can do to make it more engaging. Last seeing what other schools are doing to see what best practices, and really just trying to take an approach that we can really help to engage folks. So I just think a lots of planning, and lots of risk management, and lots of talking things out to figure out what we can do and what we can't do.
We also discussed how gatherings like sports events and club meetings will be returning at some capacity.
I mean, at the moment, similar to classes being in person. We're still going to have the same process where clubs can request space for in-person. The plan is to hopefully have everyone back in person. I think if they wanted to meet virtually, I think allowing that option is probably still going to be on the table. I think, with fans being back in stands, I think that's a great thing for engagement. But obviously, we still need to be safe and sound when it comes to anything we're doing.
While exciting plans are in place for next semester, it is still very important that students continue to wear masks and stay safe to protect themselves and each other. I'm Cameron Darcy, ETV News.
The Center for Community Engagement at Eastern aims to end the cycle of child poverty by offering projects for preschool children from disadvantaged communities through Jumpstart. Eastern's Jumpstart program consists of 29 volunteers for the spring 2021 semester. These volunteers were provided first-hand experience in working with preschool children at Wyndham Heights Preschool and in the Wyndham Willimantic program. Due to the pandemic, these volunteers could not meet with the children in person, but Jumpstart made modifications so that each volunteer can create an activity bag for children every week. Volunteers are also obligated to record 2 weekly YouTube videos of reading the assigned storybook. Due to the extenuating circumstances of the COVID-19 pandemic, Eastern announced that students will be allowed the option to place their classes on credit, no credit. Unlike last semester, students may place a maximum of 3 courses on this plan. A grade of credit will count for any major, minor, or graduation requirement class, and they will not count against overall GPA. Any letter grade of D or higher will receive credit when placed on this option. Any students wishing to place courses on credit, no credit must do so before May 7th. Eastern advises that everyone should consult with their advisors and professors before making the decision, as this may impact program expectations and employment opportunities. Friday After Dark held an event earlier this month in the Student Center Cafe. The organization provided the campus community with activities such as stuff and animal, sand jars, coloring books, puzzles, and sign making. In order to abide by COVID-19 restrictions, Friday After Dark had a sign-up sheet for specific time slots. This event gave students the opportunity to relax with activities and snacks before finals. Last week, Eastern hosted their 21st annual Create Conference, which celebrates research excellence and artistic talent of students. For the second year in a row, the showcase was held online due to COVID-19 restrictions. This year, more than 90 students, supported by 50 faculty mentors, yielded 80 presentations, which included artwork, performances, videos, posters, and oral presentations. URock and SGA recently hosted the Love Your Neighbor event, which took place on Webb Lawn. This event was meant to celebrate diversity and teach students about the Headspace app. This app is designed to promote mindfulness through meditation. At the event, students could visit food trucks, stuff a bear, make a custom phone wallet, and take a Polaroid picture. After the break, we have updates on the protests on religious exemption at the state capitol, as well as info on Biden's economic agenda. We'll be right back.
Why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others.
For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Lexi Nimitz. Over 2,000 protesters gathered outside of Connecticut's capital as the state Senate votes to remove the religious exemption from immunizations in school-age children. The proposed bill only addresses religious exemptions and, if passed, still allows for medical exceptions. Critics of the legislation claim that the decision is infringing on parental rights. If approved, Connecticut will become the 6th state to end religious exemption. Marking 100 days in office, President Biden took the next steps with his economic agenda during Congress's joint session. The White House's American Family Plan includes reduced child care costs, increased pay family leave, and free tuition at the community college level. To pay for these initiatives, households with an income of over $400,000 will see a tax increase. Earlier this month, John Hinkle Jr. bowled a perfect 300. Although he has achieved this milestone almost a dozen times, Hinkle wanted to commemorate his father in the best way he knew how, using a bowling ball filled with his father's ashes. The bowling ball will be retired from play after it is used in the Tournament of Champions, the last tournament Hinkle played with his father. This past Tuesday, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention unveiled updated guidelines detailing activities that vaccinated people can safely resume, including attending small outdoor gatherings without the need to wear a mask. The new public health recommendation details a number of situations which individuals who have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19 can participate in without wearing a mask. The CDC still urges the continued use of face coverings in most indoor settings and in crowded outdoor areas for both those vaccinated and unvaccinated. On Monday, April 26th, the Department of Transportation's Deputy Commissioner, Garrett Eucalito, spoke with Eastern students on the state's climate change proposal. The DOT has launched the Transportation and Climate Initiative program, which aims to reduce the greenhouse gases emitted by public transit. The Connecticut DOT has also announced their plan to update their facilities to accommodate a fully electric bus fleet. See Eastern CT Television on YouTube, where reporter Megan Solinsky will have more on this. After the break, Tyler Madden has a spring sports update and more when we come back.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now I'm anything but lonely.
We have this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet,
We discover
they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure love.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's send it on over to Tyler Madden with a look at someone who has made a return to Eastern's lacrosse program.
Flashback to the mid-1990s. Then President of Eastern, Dr. David Carter, gave Rick McCarthy a task: take the club Eastern men's lacrosse team and move it to varsity level status. He did that, serving as the head coach of the Warriors from 1996 to 2004, and during that time won 4 straight regular season and 3 league playoff titles in the Pilgrim League, along with winning all 16 of their matches en route to 2 regular season and playoff titles in 2 years of LEC men's lacrosse play. Now fast forward to 2021 with the team under the leadership of head coach Mark Graham. The varsity men's lacrosse team plays on Rick McCarthy Field, named for the man who started it all. And if you tune into a game this season, you might just see a familiar face on the sideline.
I decided at age 74, having coached lacrosse for 52 years, I wasn't ready to give it up.
You can't talk about the Eastern Men's Lacrosse program without saying the name Rick McCarthy.
Rick certainly elevated the program and elevated Little East lacrosse, really, into a conference that should be noticed and reckoned with in the Northeast.
He has always been around the game, most recently serving as an assistant for the Wesleyan men's lacrosse team. But with the status of Wesleyan season still up in the air as the spring rolled around, and following a conversation with current Warriors head coach Mark Graham, he was left with a unique opportunity, an opportunity to come home.
I remember what Mark had said, so I picked up the phone and I called Mark, how would you like it if I came up and spent, a good part of the season with you guys?
McCarthy's love for the game is apparent, with him making the trip up from his home in Florida to work with the team in Willimantic.
His passion doesn't end when he leaves practice. I mean, that guy is sitting in the airport waiting for his flight, and he's watching the film of our game and sending me notes through text and email.
The program has come a long way since its founding, and it's shown in the facilities today at the Mansfield Outdoor Complex.
Our practice consisted of everybody put their equipment. We were on this field, but it was just a meadow. And the building and grounds guys brought a truck up and drove it around, and our 40 guys picked up rocks from the field and put it in the truck. And then the next year, because the rocks were gone, some grass grew up and we were able to play on it.
Regardless of the field, for McCarthy, coaching and teaching doesn't stop when the team leaves it.
There's really not enough that could be said about Coach McCarthy.
Terry Francois was a 4-year member of the Eastern men's lacrosse team, including being a part of the program's first varsity season.
He's really all about helping people, and he likes to build a good program. He's good at building program, but it's him working with individuals and turning them into really good human beings.
That philosophy, along with the success of the program, attracted a number of high-profile recruits, the first being John Rabano.
He really, especially with me and my parents, just really spoke to us at the core of what Eastern was and who he was and what he was looking to build and do up in Willimantic.
Eastern was the right fit for Rabano, who went on to become the program's first All-American on the field and in the classroom, along with being the first player in the team's history to record 100 assists, and was a 2013 inductee into the Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame.
And it just felt right. Felt right to my parents too. So when we came home and we, kind of went through all the schools I was considering, it kept coming back to Eastern. And at any point, it wasn't going to be Eastern. I get a phone call and it would be Coach McCarthy, reminding me about Eastern and him and trying to, looking back at the discussions, it was like, wow, I was pretty naive there, but he was really just giving me words of wisdom and encouragement, and best decision I made in my life.
Those players and Coach McCarthy set the foundation for where their program is today.
To have an association with lacrosse legend really like Rick really has kept the program in the discussion point in Northeast lacrosse.
It's not all X's and O's that are taught in sports, but the lessons taught on the field that translate to life off it.
So when I think of Coach McCarthy, I think of three things. I think of him as a mentor to me. I think of him as a coach to me. And I also think of him as a really good friend, family member to me, right? So it's rare that you're going to really truly have all of those, with one in particular person. And, and it's not just me that has that with him. He has that with all of us.
My whole career, my whole outlook, the way I handle things come from things I've learned from him.
Stories that come full circle offer moments of reflection.
The most important thing to me is the impact that it had on all of the players and coaches, people involved with that program, and how it's still an important part of their life. So to me, it's the bond that I share with those other coaches, but especially the players, that goes on throughout our life.
The house that Rick McCarthy helped build.
That experience that I share with all those players is really something the highlight, honestly, of my 52 years in coaching lacrosse. I mean, nothing matches my experience here. I mean, it was pretty great to win the national championship with Wesleyan in 2018, but you know, the most important part of my career in coaching and teaching was the time I spent here. The relationship and the impact on all our lives together, that is the thing that I take away, that I think about, that I treasure.
That impact evident in Coach McCarthy's players all these years later. When talking to his former players, they were expressing to me how excited they were that the guys in the team this year are under the leadership of Coach Mark Graham and have the opportunity to learn from a man with such vast knowledge of the game like Coach McCarthy. Good news for fans of Eastern Athletics is the Little East Conference announced Friday that each member school can decide their policy on fans at conference games for the remainder of this season. Eastern has opted for a policy that allows all fans to attend home games with masks required and social distancing when not with your family unit. After a 38-year hiatus, the Eastern golf team competed in the Little East Conference Championships this past weekend and took home first place as a team of 4 schools. Freshman Aston Lewis finished in first, shooting 6 over, while his fellow rookie Jonah Dupree came in third while shooting 12 over. The golf team looks to continue their success as they are currently hosting their second invitational to close out the season. The Eastern baseball team continues to climb up the national rankings as they jump 2 spots this week to number 21, following a weekend split against nationally ranked Southern Maine. The team has won 7 out of their last 9 games and continues to get back to their winning ways just in time for the Little East Conference tournament, which is less than a month away. The women's soccer team battled rivals Keene State Monday night under the lights. They were looking to bounce back after a heartbreaking 2-1 loss to Plymouth State. Both teams battled the entire game as it went to overtime, and as time winded down, let's take you to ETV Sports' Jarrett Soltis and Kyle Smith on the call.
Going to try to send one down to Root. Root in hot pursuit, looking for her second goal of the day and possibly the game winner here for Eastern Connecticut. She's got an opportunity. Shot on goal. Bottom right-hand corner is good. Alexi Root, her second goal of the day, and the game winner for Eastern Connecticut as they hand the Owls their first loss of the season here in 2021. Alexi Root, the game winner, about 6.5 minutes into overtime to give the Warriors their second win of 2020.
What a way to send it out, Jared. I mean, look at this, right off the kick into the bottom right corner.
The team will finish out the season tomorrow hosting Castleton University. Speaking of that matchup tomorrow, we've got another busy weekend down at the Mansfield Outdoor Complex beginning tomorrow with a softball doubleheader starting at 2 p.m. We just mentioned women's soccer is also in action on Rick McCarthy Field, and a volleyball matchup that gets underway at 6:30 with all teams taking on Castleton. And Saturday, baseball also takes on Castleton in a doubleheader with Game 1 starting at 1 p.m. You can see all of those games streaming live on littleeast.tv/EasternCT. Lexi, back to you.
That's it for this edition of ETV News. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Lexi Nimitz. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, everyone.